Well, good afternoon, everyone. What a great day it is to be in Charlestown Navy Yard. Governor Baker, Mayor Walsh, Councilor Edwards, Representative Ryan, Steve, Megan, and Ellie from the Mayflower 2020, and Wampanoag Representatives Jim Peters and Darius Combs, and all of our honored guests today. Welcome. My name is Michael Creasy. I'm the General Superintendent of the National Parks of Boston here. And on behalf of the National Park Service, we'd like to welcome you to the Charlestown Navy Yard, which is a unit of Boston National Historical Park. Thank you for joining us today to announce the planned visit of Mayflower II to the Charlestown Navy Yard in May of 2020. When the Constitution Museum called and said, "Hey, Michael, what do you think about the Mayflower coming into town?" I thought, how do we take a story that is tied to the War of 1812 and a ship from that era, to the building of our nation, to the building of our Navy and the Navy heritage, and the evolution of this shipyard that we're in today, and tie it into the 17th century. And I'm thinking, our partners here in the U.S. Navy Yard know how to make things work. And so between the U.S. Navy, the Constitution Museum, the National Park Service, and this great team with Mayflower 2020, you can believe that this is going to be a very special visit by Mayflower coming into Charlestown. Together, we believe that the history is best viewed with multiple perspectives, presented holistically and relevant to all people. Nathaniel Philbrick, who wrote the book Mayflower, points out that our national memory tends to skip from the first Thanksgiving to the shot heard round the world, without a clue between the 150 years in between. Uncovering and revealing these layers reminds us that history is not tightly bound, single or unchanging story with one true significance, but an ongoing discovery process in which narrative evolve over time as generations develop new questions and concerns, and multiple perspectives are explored. And it reminds us that there are more stories to be told, and there are more people who want to hear them. We can only imagine what this yard will look like and feel like when Mayflower II joins the USS Constitution and the World War II vessel USS Cassin Young next year out on Pier 1. 3 ships, all with layered histories from the 17th century to the 20th century. However, the most exciting part of this will be how we make the connections between the past, the present, and the future. We look forward to hosting you here in 2020. Thank you to everyone involved with this endeavor, and congratulations all of you in Mayflower 2020 for making it all come together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Superintendent Creasy. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful day for the official kickoff of Mayflower Sales 2020, an event that's going to bring history to life right here in the Charlestown Navy Yard from May 14th through 19th of 2020. A special thank you to Governor Baker and Mayor Walsh and your entire staff for being so supportive and for being here today. We are so grateful for the National Park Service and the Friends of the Charlestown Navy Yard for allowing Mayflower to sit right behind the Constitution, just behind us, next May. This beautiful location right in the heart of Boston provides easy access for all of our visitors, not just from around the region, but from around the country. And of course, none of this would be possible without Plymouth Plantation, the proud owner of Mayflower herself and the Living Museum and parent organization of Mayflower Sales 2020. So Ellie Donovan, the Executive Director of Plymouth Plantation, thank you to the entire board of Plymouth Plantation and your staff. I know many of you are here today. So now on to the once-in-a-lifetime event that I know you're all looking forward to hearing about. Mayflower Sales 2020 is a 6-day maritime festival right here in the Charlestown Navy Yard, where Mayflower will make her grand debut after undergoing a 3-year, multi-million-dollar restoration. The event will be from May 14th through the 19th of 2020 and will be free and open to the public throughout the day. Of course, this includes free access aboard Mayflower herself. It'll be a unique opportunity for visitors to get to take a step back in time and learn more about the ship that launched our nation. We are focusing on making history fun and accessible to everyone. We are partnering with Plymouth Plantation and their Indigenous program to provide educational and cultural programming throughout the day for all ages here at the Navy Yard. There'll be plenty of entertainment as well, from VIP speakers to a Rock the Dock concert, which is more on that later. We'll have a beer garden and Boston's best food trucks. This is something for everyone. All in all, Mayflower Sales 2020 will be free, fun, family-friendly, and educational for all ages. So make sure you sign up at our website for more information. It's www.mayflowersales2020.com, and that's sales like the ship, S-A-I-L-S, to learn more information. And last, I just want to say that even though this event will be free, it will be ticketed. So also make sure that you sign up on our website, mayflowersales2020.com, and you'll be the first to know when tickets become available. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our chairman and founding sponsor of Mayflower Sales 2020, Steve Brodeur.
Thank you, Megan, and welcome, everybody. As Megan just described, this is going to be a fabulous event in May of 2020, and we're so glad you're here to kick it off with us. Megan, along with Alice McLaren and Erica Forsyth, are working very hard to make this a special moment. Today, guys, is proof positive that you're doing a great job. Congratulations and thank you. Like every project of this magnitude, it takes a lot of collaboration and teamwork across multiple organizations to make it happen. And in that spirit, I'd also like to thank Michael Creasy and his team at NPS Boston. I'd like to thank Commander John Benda. This guy is very easy to recognize, and his team from the U.S. Navy. And Commander, I can't tell you how over the moon with excitement we are that the USS Constitution will be escorting Mayflower into Boston Harbor next May. Can you imagine the nation's two most historic, iconic ships sailing together for the first time? It's going to be spectacular. I'd also like to thank Paul George, who is the chairman of the USS Constitution Museum and whose idea this event was. Paul, thank you very, very much. A special thank you to a special thank you to Gary Carney, David Burnham, and Bill Carey, my fellow trustees at Mayflower Sales 2020. Guys, we couldn't do it without you. Thank you for all you've done and all you will do. I'd also like to thank Ellie Donovan, who is the chairman. No, I'm the chairman. She's the executive director of Plymouth Plantation and her fabulous team there. Also, Mayflower Captain Whit Perry, who is overseeing the 3-year, multi-million-dollar restoration of Mayflower at Seaport and will be at her helm when she debuts here in Boston next May. Most of all, I'd like to thank the mayor and the governor for recognizing the importance of this event and for their enthusiastic support for this event. Thank you. So with full disclosure, I am neither a Mayflower descendant nor really a qualified 17th century historian. But in this day and age, that doesn't stop anybody. What I am is a businessman and an entrepreneur. And what has always captivated me about the Mayflower's Atlantic crossing is the incredible risk that these 102 passengers endured to get here and to find their freedom, and without intention, laid the foundations for our country. Imagine taking your family 3,000 miles away from home today, never to return. Now imagine doing it 400 years ago on a wooden ship across a vast Atlantic Ocean to a destination unknown and even uncharted. The Pilgrim story of determination and survival is nothing short of amazing. And they planted the seeds of democracy and freedom, but they also were risk takers and trailblazers. And they created the blueprint for the waves of immigration that would follow them. With a little bit of them in all of us, is it any wonder that the United States is the greatest risk-taking nation in the world? Most Americans see the Mayflower through the lens of the first Thanksgiving and their 5th grade history lessons. It is so much more than that. The story of Native peoples and Europeans who met here is among history's most well-known moments. It is a complex story, one of both collaboration as well as conflict. My colleagues Jim Peters, Darius Coombs, and Carrie Helm of the Wampanoag tribe can tell you just how complex, how fascinating, and how difficult a story it is. As citizens of Massachusetts in the United States, we should be aware of and grateful for the sacrifices and perseverance of English and Native people who starred in this moment of history. We can learn so much from their accomplishments and contributions to our shared history and our shared culture. And we can be proud to realize that they did this here in Massachusetts, in the town of Plymouth, known as Patuxet to Native peoples, and only 40 miles from where we stand. We like to say that New York may have the Statue of Liberty. Massachusetts invented everything, and we have the Mayflower to remind everybody that it started here. So I hope you join me in recognizing that this 400th anniversary is a really big deal. I remember as a boy the excitement I felt on Independence Day in 1976 when the tall ships entered Boston Harbor to celebrate our nation's bicentennial. We're going to create that same excitement here next May and bring the complete story of the Mayflower, the Pilgrims, and Native peoples to life on a national stage right here at the Charlestown Navy Yard. Now it is my great honor and privilege to introduce to you our special guests and to express our appreciation for their help, enthusiasm, and support for this event. We're so pleased to have the mayor and the governor with us today, and we are thrilled to be working with their teams to make this once-in-a-lifetime event, once-in-a-lifetime great. And with that, please welcome Mayor Marty Walsh.
Thank you very much, Steve. And I want to, a lot of people were thanked, and I'm not going to go through everyone again, but I do want to mention a few people. I want to thank Megan for asking me and the governor to be part of this today. She's amazing, and thank you very much for having us here. To the governor, to the Senate President Terry Murray's with us today, State Senator Vinnie DiMacedo's with us today. It's great to see you. Friends of the Charlestown Navy Yard, as always, I love what you do here. To Michael Creasy from the National Parks, a good friend, and we work on a lot of different things together, so thank you, Michael. To the leadership of the Plymouth Plantation and the staff, all of you that are here today, thank you. Everyone involved in planning this anniversary, thank you. Those of you that drove all the way from Plymouth to Boston, thank you for being here, because we'll drive all the way to Plymouth to celebrate with you as well, so I want to thank you for that. Boston, that was a joke, those of you who didn't get it. Boston is looking forward to this event next year to mark the 400th anniversary. We're honored that the Mayflower will be making her debut sail in Boston Harbor for the first time since her restoration. And we're excited to be part of this milestone celebration. The Pilgrim's Voyage on the Mayflower is a story that we've all heard growing up, as Stephen said earlier. It was a pivotal moment in the founding of our country. It'll help us launch the idea of America, that no matter where you are from, you have the rights to freedom and to opportunity. It's an idea that has been tested over time. We haven't always lived up to those ideals. History between the Pilgrims and the Native Americans have shown us that. We must always be learning, willing to listen and learn as we move forward from our past. And we must always be committed to building a better and more just future for all of our residents. That's why the Plymouth 400th anniversary means a great deal to the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It's an opportunity to keep our special history alive. It's a teaching moment for our kids about what life was like 400 years ago and the struggles that so many people endured. It reminds us of the promise of America and our passion to protect that promise, something that we're obligated to do. It's an opportunity to share our special history with the rest of the country and the entire world. The 400th anniversary will draw millions of people to Plymouth and the Commonwealth who want to experience it firsthand. We can't wait to show people where it all started and show them right here in Massachusetts. I hope that everyone will be able to join us here next year in the Navy Yard. Spread the word to your families and friends. And we're looking forward to sharing in the celebration with all of you. And I know Megan and the committee has a lot of work to do, but I would ask all of us here today, if you're here just as a guest, get involved. Offer how you can help. Putting an event like this together for 5 days, almost a year from now, a little less than a year from now, is a daunting task. So whatever we can do to be helpful, we will make sure that we're there with you. We might actually, when this is all over, we might actually pick up a few ideas how to celebrate Boston's 400th anniversary in the year 2030. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And now it's my great honor to introduce you, my friend, the governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And as we say oftentimes, when you think about Boston, Boston is part of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and we're all one big unit. And this is a great way to talk about celebrations and really put on a history lesson for the rest of the world. As Stephen said, it all began here. So we will remind everyone it all began here. And I'd like to bring up to the podium, say a few words, the governor of the Commonwealth, Charlie Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and let me just start by saying that this is in many ways a group project. You have the federal government involved through a number of different agencies. You have state government involved. You have the city of Boston involved. You have a whole number of nonprofits that are very key to making this happen. And you also have a series of events that are going to take place across the Commonwealth, including many down at Plymouth Plantation, to celebrate this 400th anniversary of the sail across the Atlantic. And as I thought about what I might say today, I was struck by the fact that this boat that's currently, ship that's currently being restored in Connecticut was actually a gift of the British government to the United States of America in 1957. It was built in the UK and then sailed across the Atlantic, recreating the original trip, and in 1957 landed here in the US, where it was met by about 25,000 spectators who came out to welcome it. Now the reason the British chose to put all that time and all that money into rebuilding and recreating a voyage in which a series of folks from their country left to start a new country here in the United States was because of the gratitude that they felt to the U.S. for the U.S. servicemen support of the UK and Europe in World War II. It was their way of saying thank you to America for coming back and helping them stave off what I think everybody would agree was the most significant threat to freedom in the 20th century. Now, what's particularly interesting about that is I was just over in London attending a series of conferences and conversations about offshore wind, something that frankly, the Europeans and the Brits are way ahead of us on, but we are pursuing the first and largest and most significant offshore wind project in U.S. history. And I thought getting some firsthand connectivity to many of the communities that have been working on this for over a decade over there would be helpful to us and make sure we got it right. But I had a few minutes to go visit St. Paul's Cathedral, which is a church that's been sitting on a particular piece of property since 604. This version's the fifth version. The first four burned down at one point or another, and this version was built between 1667 and 1710. So there was, in fact, something going on here. We just hadn't made it quite yet to the United States of America at that time. But inside that cathedral is a chapel, and that chapel is dedicated to the servicemen who died in the European theater defending the UK and Europe in World War II. And there's actually a large book in calligraphy that lists the name and the branch of the military that every single serviceman who died fighting that war in Europe passed away. And it was a constant reminder to me about the fact that, and this will sound trite, history is a long time. And there are a lot of things that happen over the course of 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, 400 years. And it's incredibly important that we all understand and appreciate that historic arc. And with respect to this particular arc, and especially what took place upon the arrival of that 100+ people back in 1620, and as Steve talked about, the complicated relationship that existed between the English and the Native Americans who were here at the time and beyond, this stuff really matters. And sometimes it takes a big moment like this, a seminal event, to bring everybody together, to give it the kind of attention it's due. And I sincerely hope that over the course of 2020, here in Boston, down in Plymouth, and in some of the other parts of Massachusetts, where people will be celebrating and recognizing and appreciating what took place some 400 years ago, that everybody will have a chance to learn a bit about that history and what it means, not just to us today, but to who we are and how we as a community can learn from the positive and negative experiences associated with that and go forward, recognizing and understanding that this will be the first of several 400 anniversaries. There's going to be a 400th anniversary of the National Guard in 2023 or 2024, I can't remember which, because we created the first standing National Guard, state of Massachusetts, Salem, Massachusetts, in the 1620s. And there are all kinds of things, again, as Steve said, that happened that really mattered long before we got to the point where that first shot heard round the world was fired. But this is a great opportunity for us to start that conversation, learn from our collective history, and try and improve our ability to serve as community leaders, whichever community we're part of, as we all move forward. It's a great opportunity. We should take full advantage of it. We, the Commonwealth, are thrilled to be part of it. Thank you.
All right, now I'm going to invite the governor and the mayor and Megan with me and Michael Creasy to come and unfurl our sail. Would you join me?
Oh, down in front. Down in front.